Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again to change. That is crazy.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a horrible movie, with a rushed, unfinished feeling video game with some good story elements.
Let's talk about that.
Why the hell did Peter run towards the gunshot? Does he have a death wish?
Hey, that sounded like a gunshot.
A dialogue tree? What is this? A Telltale game? Ugh, skip. Wait, what? How did he get out the webs? If Shocker was going to escape anyway, why did he give Spider-Man answers? Like Nerdcube said, you can just web rush everywhere. Wait, what? Where does he go to change? It reminds me of that Spider-Man 2 scene.
Whoa! He stole that guy's pizza!
Stan Lee is a nice cameo. I'm glad this wasn't his final game, and Spider-Man PS4 was. Wait, you could read comics in-game? That's pretty cool actually. Oh, the first comic you get is actually quite good. It shows Peter struggling with the toll it takes to be a hero, and talking to a vision of Uncle Ben by his grave. Huh, the statue of Stan Lee is actually kinda cool. I kinda wish I had it in real life now. Ugh, I hate that you have to press a button to finish loading. Huh, so Carnage is an anti-hero now? That's an interesting direction. The Mars suit looks off for some reason. I think it's the lenses, they look too, like, on the side, like pigeon eyes. Anyway, enough of the gameplay. Let's talk about my favourite thing to talk about, the story. They tried to make Peter more of a sleuth in this game, interviewing your enemies undercover. This would have worked really well with the dialogue options, if it felt like the dialogue did something. In the Telltale games, for example, which has a similar system like this, you have a limited time to pick, and then you get the next choices, which are completely different. Plus, in the Telltale games, pretty much everything you say matters, meaning either you get killed, you get someone else killed, or you get someone mad at you. Here, there is no progression in the dialogue. I mean, they even make it so you can skip it. I feel like they had an idea with this, but got scared halfway through. Peter's personality as well, his emotions always seem morally righteous. Even when he gets mad, he doesn't let his emotions get the best of him. Well, apart from when he doesn't give Green Goblin his blood. When there is literally no reason not to, he's gonna die anyway. I also dislike that Craven never found out Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Craven is a mastermind. The fact that he worked with Peter and Spider-Man at the same time, and he never suspected anything, is laughable. My headcanon is that he knew all along, and he just never mentioned it to mess with Peter's head.
For Aunt May, to make up for not stopping his killer when I should have, I had to become a man. Spider-Man.
I really dislike how in this game, Spider-Man does it for revenge. That's not Spider-Man. The whole thing about Spider-Man is great power comes great responsibility. One day he decided not to act with his powers and let his loved one die. I do like how agile Spider-Man is in this game. The way he jumps around in combat, the way he uses kicks, it makes him seem as agile as Spider-Man is in the comics. Spider-Man's personality is, well, his quips are quite annoying, as they play the same ones over and over and over again. The best the quips did to me was a nose excel. I don't want to compare this game to Spider-Man PS4 too much, but the Spider-Man PS4 quips actually made me laugh. What's next? Oh yeah, the main story.
Besides, catch your steeds, just like guys, look out! Here comes the Spider-Man!
Carnage is such a cool villain, and the main reason I wanted to make this video. The main story is a jumbled mess of an original, promising, actually good story, and the movie tie-in that held the game back. As I mentioned before, Carnage being a murderous anti-hero is a really interesting idea. Speaking of Carnage, Carnage was so underused. He is the best character in this game, hands down. Carnage, or as his real name is, Cletus Cassidy, represents what Spider-Man could have become. In the comics, Cletus feels more like Joker, and that's not a mistake. The creators of Carnage said they based him off Joker. He reminds me a lot of Vast from Far Cry 3 for some reason. I absolutely loved how they treated Cletus being arrested. One of my favourite scenes is when you see his perspective inside his head and you hear his thoughts. It's just so fun. The dialogue between Donald Meekin and Cletus is also really fun. Cletus himself is just so vibrant. Now, let's talk about the final boss against Cletus. I always love prison break fights in games. It just works so well. Constant waves of enemies, a story reason to tie it all together, and some destruction along the way. The way the symbiote is half on his skin and it's writhing around is perfect. Even how one eye is white and then he turns into...
I'm not Cletus Cassidy. Not anymore. I'm my true self now. I'm Carnage!
The way it sounds like it physically hurts when he puts on the symbiote, perfection. And the goddamn symbiote itself, it's just so pretty. Sure, it doesn't have the black lines like in the comics, but here it has erratic tendrils that come out his back and go everywhere with no set purpose. That is chaos. That is Carnage. Then he makes his chaos minions and... God, it's so cool. Why did it have to be in this mess of a video game tie-in? Side note, before I move on, Carnage's voice when he speaks, so cool. Black Hair's sorta just here to make sexual innuendos. A lot like the comics. But in the comics, she actually has a struggle. Here, she's just here to slice up Spider-Man and be the second most annoying boss fight in the game. The only one that is worse than this is Kingpin, because he kept getting stuck on the carpet. So I couldn't hit him, and he couldn't hit me. But yeah, you defeat Black Cat, throw her into some dinosaur bones, and she dies. Then you interrogate her. Yeah, that's all I got on Black Cat, really. Well, apart from the best loading screen in the game.
Spider-Man! I like. Impressive. But you are still raw. Inexperienced.
I was experienced enough to beat your friends.
I am Russian, but I am no friend to those pigs.
Pretty rude of you to assume just because he's Russian he's one of the bad guys. Wait, you know, it's probably because he's shirtless, has many animal hides, and has animal teeth around his neck. Honestly, I don't blame him. So Spider-Man decides to work with him after going undercover. Then it turns out Kraven was evil all along. Dun dun dun! Yeah, it's not much of a twist if you know anything about Spider-Man. But I do like how they did this. It's completely in Kraven's character to train Spider-Man and study him just so he could have a good fight. Kraven's fight is really fun and a well-balanced challenge. Nice work, devs. You pretty much did Kraven justice.
The boy went back to Napoli because he missed the scenery.
I'll give the developers this. Kingpin does actually fit into the story for the most part. His boss fight is the most annoying of all though. As I said, he kept getting stuck on the carpet. His missions were pretty much mediocre, sometimes outright boring. Green Goblin doesn't fit that much, but it's not as bad as Electro. It's quite jarring anytime he comes on screen. His boss fight, while really easy, is very fun. Electro has the most severe case of this being a movie video game that wants to do its own thing. Spider-Man saves him one time, and he becomes Electro the next time you see him. The game is incredibly flawed. In my opinion, the story has a ton of potential. But with it being based on a movie, plus having its own story going on, it causes the plot to be a car crash with a lot of good story elements, but underused to get that movie tie-in money. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. This took me a really long time. And I stayed up until 2 AM scripting this. And I know my editor always puts in so much effort into my videos. By the time I had finished the recording... God damn it, you messed me up. By the time I had finished the audio of the script, my throat felt like I had swallowed lava. Alright, bye.
Just on this time.